Well, it's another day out here, and it looks like the parts fairy has showed up. We got some things. Let's take a look here. You can see we got some work to do here to fix this up to where we can get this nice shiny new tailgate set, ready to go. We'll work on getting it to where we can fit the tailgate on. Other fun things have showed up here as well. So getting things brand nice and new with a nice new grill. That should be looking ship shape once we get that up and going. So, yeah, a few things to work on. Still got a little more work to do here. Still got a bit of a dent kind of sitting in like that. I gotta still try to get that pushed out. Made some progress on that though. But bits and pieces are coming. Lots of sanding to get done to prep this for paint. You can see the bed started to get sanded off. So that'll get going. But we'll also start working on this whole tailgate scenario and get that up and going. So I guess that's what's next here. Get moving on it.
Let's get to work.
Now, not only did this thing get hit in the front, but when it got pushed, it actually pushed over the hinges here for the hood. So another thing that we've got to do is we got to straighten out the hood. So I don't know if you can see, it's twisted this way, bent that way, and then overall the top is pushed over. Let's see if I can get there. Top is pushed over. So we need to straighten this out. The driver's side also bent, not quite as bad. So definitely took it on the passenger side. Now, if I was having my way, I'd like to get this out and actually pull out the hinge and straighten everything up on the anvil. But it looks like these hinges are actually kind of adhesed in. I don't know if I want to go to the trouble of trying to pull this thing out and then figure out how I'm going to spot weld or adhese it back in. So I'm going to try to go ahead and dolly and hammer it flat here. See if we can't get it bent up. We'll get it bent enough that we can then put the hood on, and then we'll work on some other adjustments on the hood once we have that done. So get the hinges on, and then we'll see if we can toss this hood back up.
Mini, I hammer jetzt earlier here.
All right. This hinge is looking pretty straight now, so I lucked out. Turns out that this here stock, which is actually for a receiver hitch, as you can see, has the has the right curve that I needed to match that curve. So once I sink this down and held it with some helps of some clamps, I was able then to hammer this whole thing nice and square again. Didn't take too much on that. You guys might be wondering the hammer that I've been using for all my bodywork. No, I do not have the right bodywork hammers. But this hammer here is kind of interesting, and it's a great tool. One, it's not super heavy. I don't see the weight on it. But this is a farrier's hammer for hammering horseshoes and the like. You can see it's got a nice flat edge on one side, and it's round on the other. So until I get the right tools for all my body work, which I'll be getting here when I go to working on that Thunderbird, I'm using this farrier hammer here of my dad's. He used to do a lot of horseshoeing, and so I'm putting this to use on a different type of horse. Thanks, Dad. I've got the hood latched here. It took quite a bit of down pressure to get this thing to latch. And what's happened is inside up here where the latch is sitting, it's actually had been pushed up. And so part of the problem, this thing's sinking down so much because that latch had gotten pushed up. So I'm gonna try to put some upward pressure here where the latch is and try to get the latch itself to maybe hold this enough to relieve this pressure. I don't know if you can see here, it's about 3/8 of an inch down on this corner. So we got to fix that, and about 3/8 of an inch up on this corner. So we're going to work on getting that latching. We still have to get this down. Perhaps when I get this up, this will come down somewhat. I don't think it's going to come down fully because I think that hinge has a little bit that I need to fix in it. So we'll get that. So let me get something here to push this up. A little longer piece of wood. Yeah, I need a little shorter piece of wood. Looking for that just right. All right, shrunk my lumber there. I'll get the stretcher out here in a bit and stretch that back where it was. It's better. We got it about halfway. That's closed up pretty good there. It still can come down. Closes better. All right, we can see here we got a little bit of a gap. While there's pressure on this, I'm going to try to smooth here, good here, so it's kind of this corner that's down. I'm going to try to lift this up a little and see if we can't relieve a little pressure on that. I don't want to bend my panel here, so I'm going to need to put something to help stiffen this and try to pry up a bit. Gentle as possible. It's a little better. Let's let off the pressure here, see what we got. That's pretty good. Go around to the other side here. So on the other side, you can see we're high. Coming starting about here and here, this entire corner is up high. You might not have noticed it in the prior shot, but what we had here before is this hood was actually all the way over and sitting down on it. So I'm going to do the opposite trick here, and I'm going to try to lever down on this if I can. So same basic trick in reverse. This already has this little kink right here. May or may not be showing. I'm going to start with that kink. That's not working how I hope it is. Let's open this up. I have to think about how I can potentially adjust this down. Okay, I think what we've got going on a little bit here is that this is bent, not straight. So what I'm going to do, you saw me do this to the other side over there. I'm going to take the hood off again, and then I'm going to use that same bar, and I'm going to try to take this bend, straighten it out. That should bring this like that, and we should get this thing down. I'll just go ahead with a marker, kind of mark the position that the hinges are in because they're pretty decent lined up right now. So I'll mark that so that when I screw it back on, it goes. But take the hood off here. All right, let's try to flatten this thing out a little. Okay, it's flatter, but I guess the moment of truth really is setting this thing down and seeing what it does. Woo! That's purty right there. Not perfect, but purty. This one's not bad over here. So now we got to bring these corners up on that side, and this corner still has to go down a bit on this side. So let's get to tweaking on this here a bit. Figure out a good way to do this. Boy, if we could twist this whole hood, that kind of solves both problems. Boy, it's getting close. I'd like to put this thing more right under there. But I guess I'd have to take the bumper off to do that. Do I want to take the bumper off? Or maybe I just gotta fit it in a little differently. Years of Tetris coming into action right here. Ooh, that's pretty. Not bad. All right. See if you can see that there. This other side. So I might still tweak it here and there a little, just play around with, but substantially all there. So next thing up on my list is going to be working on the tailgate and getting the tailgate set up to where, well, it has a tailgate.
The next day?
All right, it's time to get to working on this tailgate here. So got this tailgate, or I should say my son got this tailgate to put in. It's a Ford tailgate, but Ford, Mazda, same basic thing. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna work on the damage here to try to get this to fit. As you can see, it got pushed in pretty good this way. We got a big crease here. So within that big crease, we got a pinch all the way over. We got to roll this back and pull this out. So there's a lot going on there in that corner. You can see it dented here a bit as well. So we'll start seeing if we can't relieve that, and then the goal is to be able to get the tailgate on and have the tailgate do some tailgate type things. So we'll get to working on that. See what we can do. Now the bed was just loosely set on, so we're gonna drop the bolts in it here, give us something to work against. If you don't own one of these, you need to pick them up. That's the handiest thing in the world. Say goodbye to most ratcheting type of things. Okay, we're starting to make a bit of a undent in it, but as you can see, this thing was really pinched, and this piece of metal is separate from this piece of metal. This is what's pinched, so I'm having a hard time finding a perch to do that. I also need to get this thing straightened out, and it looks like if I can get this to come a little, maybe I can get a little more exposure to the side so that I can start working on this here a little more. But yeah, this being two different pieces is making it hard trying to get without taking the panel off. So I think I'm going to work this a little here and then keep creeping back and forth, push this corner over, and go from there. Okay, it appears like I might not have been recording that last section, but this looks like a hot mess right now, I agree, but it is getting better. So I had a huge pinch right here. I've been able to pull and twist that over, which is good. Yeah, I've removed some wood, or removed some metal along the way as I've gone to drill and pull, but I've got this thing over the hump, as it were, and I no longer have the pinch. So now, in my mind, it's a matter of flattening this off and then reshaping this. Probably have to take the bed off to hammer this out. This metal is a lot stiffer than the tin out here. So heavier gauge where the bed support is, not a surprise. I couldn't do my technique to pull that out. So again, I don't think that recorded, because if it did, maybe you'll have seen it and you'll be hearing me say this for nothing. So I'm going to keep working this edge here, get this out, and then go from there. All right, I've generally got this shaped. With the taillight, you can see it fits in, mostly follows the profile. This does need to come over, but I also have to remember that this part here, I still got to pull out. So when I pull that out, it's likely going to bring this over the rest of the way. So the next step is getting the bed off. Normally I try to do everything on my own here when I can, but I don't know that I want to try to manipulate this bed by myself. So probably wait till the extra hands arrive and then we'll do this. Yeah, it got kind of ugly there. I got lots of little holes to fill in, but surprising even to myself, I got the crease out. And then in order to get this kind of nice straight line here, I'll probably cheat, and as I'm welding, I'll use the old magic grinder there to grind that one back into shape on that one. But considering how much that was pressed in, I think we got it pretty good. So still need to pull this section out quite a bit. And to do that, because of the thickness of this, I want to hammer that from the other side. And I don't feel like getting under or trying to hammer, so we'll just take the bed off again and go from there. I decided to do a little test fit here on the new tailgate, so you can see kind of the gap we got going on here on this side. But on the side that got dent, we're talking quite the gap here. So I'll still go ahead and hammer out the bottom there, but as you can see, this whole bed is going to need to get squeezed over that away so we can get rid of this gap. Well, as you just saw, spent some time there getting the bottom side of the bed put back into shape. What I failed to record here right now was the fact that we actually put the bed on and we fit the tailgate. So this tailgate's actually off of a Ford Ranger. And not only did we get it kind of fit and closing, you can see we actually sunk in the side here. This had been pushed out quite a bit, so we sunk in the side and got both of the sides to line up. The body panels are interesting, pretty close. They're tantalizingly close between the Mazda and the Ford, maybe 100% there. This tailgate's got a few dents on it too, which will probably work out. It's got a clear coat on it, so this one's a little different than the finish on the Mazda, but it's going. So working on this next, I still need to fill in the holes here. I'll take off the gate. You can judge for yourself the results of my work, but the important thing is we got everything lined up, it's up, and it's closing, so that's exciting. So the next thing that we'll have to do on this one, get this thing welded up and go from that. Let's get to it. Tailgate's off. We got a little bit of light here, so you can see where this has been pulled out on this one. Here's the holes we gotta fix, so we'll get those welded up and get that edge fixed the rest of the way. Well, I've got the welding all done here on this. So all the holes that I put in this thing have all been filled up. Up next, we're going to spend a little time getting that even smoother. Ultimately, going to put some Bondo and some filling paint primer here where we need it, getting that ready for paint. But for the most part, the metal work is done there. I am going to try to work out the dent on the tailgate, so that might mean another hole to plug on that one. If I do that, I'll take you along for the ride, and we'll do that one as well. There's actually a couple little dents that you just can't work from the outside, so probably get that done. I mean, in for a penny, in for the pound, you might as well try to get all those little things out. You don't want a nice rattle can paint job and a crappy looking tailgate. So we'll work on that next.